City of Purple Smoke and Mist. Chapter 1, The Field. In the summer of 1995, the sun shone on the rice paddies of the village like a sea of gold. 10-year-old Li Chenling, holding his 8-year-old sister Li Duxia in his left hand and his 6-year-old brother Li Wangjian in his right hand, like a small family guardian, squatted under the willow tree at the head of the village, patiently teaching his sister to weave straw shoes, while his younger brother sat on the side, picking up small stones around him to play. Chenling's mood was not easy. Just today, her parents have taken her grandparents to work in the city and told her to take care of her younger siblings at home. She is accustomed to this sense of lonely responsibility, but whenever she thinks about the future, she still can't hide a trace of uneasiness in her heart. Sister, why are you weaving these straw sandals? Twilight's voice pulled Chenling's thoughts back. This is so that you can put on sandals and not be afraid of the heat in the summer. Chenling smiled and replied gently. Twilight stares down at her worn cloth shoes, a faint smile on her face. She understands that her sister always thinks of them. And the younger brother Wang Jian suddenly pointed to the sky in the distance, his eyes were full of distant dreams. Sister, can we live in the clouds one day? Chenling was stunned for a moment, then looked up at the blue sky, and a faint smile hooked up at the corner of his mouth. Maybe one day, the clouds will take us there. The days passed peacefully. Chenling has long been accustomed to the burden on her shoulders, and she will do whatever it takes for the sake of this family. In order to make money, she sold wheat, raised piglets, and even worked several times for the village teacher. She had only one thought on her mind, to buy a pair of sandals for her sister. Chapter 2, The Dream of Sandals. Time passed, and Chenling's efforts finally paid off for her small success. She sold a few piglets, earned some money, and bought a pair of sandals for her sister as she wished. Sandals are the most beautiful style in the village, and when my sister wears them, her whole person seems to be full of brilliance. Sister, you're right, such sandals are so comfortable. Twilight happily spun in circles, her eyes glinting. Wang Jian watched from the sidelines, and suddenly whispered, Sister, can you buy me a toy car next time? When Chenling heard his brother's words, his heart shook slightly. She looked at Wang Jian's longing eyes, and an unknown emotion also appeared in her heart. She nodded and said softly, Okay, I will. She didn't tell him that she didn't make much money, and that she couldn't even stretch herself. But she knows that this is her responsibility, and it is also a happiness she wants to give her younger siblings. Chapter 3, The Burden of Tuition. As the days passed, Chenling gradually realized that the purpose of making money was no longer simply to satisfy material needs, but to pursue hope for the future. At that time, a primary school in the village held a fundraiser to help students pay their school fees. Chenling had already made up her mind to work hard to earn enough for her and her sister to receive a better education. She went to the fields in the mornings to pull weeds, went to the town to sell small items during the day, and helped the village elders with household chores in the evenings, all of which made her feel busy, but she never complained. She knew that it was all for her own future, as well as for the future of her sister and brother. Sister, are you tired? Twilight looked at her tired figure and couldn't help but care. As long as you can learn more, you won't get tired. Chenling smiled and patted her sister's head. However, the days are not always smooth. Despite her hard work, she still faced many difficulties. The pressure of tuition fees strengthened her determination to make money, but she also knew that it would not be easy. Chapter 4, Dreams and Reality. One day, Chenling met merchants from big cities at the town's bazaar. They are a small business, mainly selling toys and daily necessities. The merchant looked at Chenling and made an offer. Little girl, if you can help us do some sales work here, or sell some small toys, we are willing to give you a part of the commission. Chenling was stunned for a moment, thought for a moment, and set off waves in his heart. She knew that this was an opportunity to make money, and maybe it would help her solve some difficulties. I can try. She replied firmly. From that day on, Chenling began her sales path. Every day, she pushed the merchant's cart and walked through every street in the village. For every toy sold, she gets a commission, which is meager, but it's enough to solve some urgent needs. However, she didn't just settle for that. During one of her sales pitches, she overheard a businessman mention the further development of the big city and the opportunity to make money. This made Chenling's heart burn with greater hope. If I can go to the big city, I can earn more money and create a better life for my sister and brother. Chen-Ling secretly made up his mind. Chapter 5, Breakthrough and Rebirth. Over time, Chen-Ling finally saved enough money and managed to send his sister and brother to school. She finally felt a little lighter in her heart, but she didn't stop there. She knows that what she is pursuing is not just the achievements in the present, but the infinite possibilities of the future. Just as Chen-Ling was about to return to the city again, a fire broke out in the village. The fire destroyed much of the farmland and left many villagers homeless. Chen-Ling did not hesitate to return to the village after the fire, and she took the money and supplies she earned to help rebuild her home. This disaster made her more aware of the impermanence of life, and also made her more determined to move towards a higher level of life. Although she has been confused countless times, she has never given up. Years later, Chen-Ling stood on a tall building in a big city, looking at the bustling night scene, and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. She knows that all these efforts are not just for her dreams, but for that responsibility and that love. She said silently in her heart, "The clouds have finally brought me here." Chapter 6, The Dream of the City. The neon lights of the big city stretch Chen-Ling's figure to the old age, and the bustle of the night is very different from her hometown. Standing in this strange and seductive city, she couldn't help but think back to the peaceful fields and those difficult years. For her, the city is both a hope and a challenge. Morning Spirit was not fooled by the bustle of the city. She knows that behind all this glamour, there are countless competitions and cruelty. Instead of immediately plunging into the so-called white-collar job, she chose to enter a grassroots position in the restaurant industry, starting with learning the basic skills of kitchen work. She has only one goal: to gain experience, earn more money, and keep improving herself. Whenever she saw the workers busy in the restaurant, she always remembered the picture of her working day and night, and secretly determined that no matter how difficult it was, she would never stop. One day, Chen-Ling meets a girl named Li Yingchen, in the restaurant, and she has some similarities with Chen-Ling. Yingchen is young, but he always endures the pressure of work, and often breaks down emotionally because of pressure. Chen-Ling walked over and comforted her softly, "It's not easy for us, but as long as we don't give up, everything can be over." Yingchen raised his head and looked at this strange but warm girl, a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. She had heard many people complain about the unfairness of life, but she had never heard such a sentence. She couldn't help but ask, "How did you do it? Why so strong?" Chen-Ling smiled slightly, with a faint confidence in his eyes, "Because I have a goal, and I never let difficulties stop me from moving forward." Yingchen was silent for a moment, and then said firmly, "I also want to be stronger, like you." This simple conversation became one of Chen-Ling's most cherished memories in the city. She began to focus not only on her own growth, but also on everyone around her who was trying to survive, and learned how to help them. She realized that she needed not only to earn money, but also to have the ability to help others out of difficult situations. Chapter 7, Turnaround. As time passed, Chen-Ling gained more experience and became more and more comfortable with her work. She discovered that she had an innate talent in the culinary and catering industry. She was able to quickly learn new techniques and integrate them to become one of the most popular people in the kitchen. However, she has never forgotten her dream of becoming an entrepreneur who can create her own business. She clearly knew that she had to change, she had to break through. Just as she was thinking about the future, the manager of the restaurant approached her and made a bold proposal. "Chen-Ling, you have very good cooking skills and the ability to manage the team. The company has decided to put a new restaurant in your hands." This news was like a bombshell, instantly stirring up layers of waves in Chen-Ling's heart. This is a huge opportunity, and perhaps everything she desires is in a management position in this restaurant. "I'm willing to take on the challenge," Chen-Ling replied without hesitation. She knew it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Chapter 8, A Contest. After the opening of the new restaurant, Chen-Ling's days became even busier. She needs to adjust the menu, choose the right ingredients, hire staff, and keep the restaurant running smoothly. However, she doesn't feel alone or scared because she never gives up on a single challenge. During this time, she encountered many problems, and at one point, the restaurant's ingredients could not be delivered on time due to a problem with the material supplier, which made her almost unable to maintain the restaurant's operations. Just when everyone was about to give up, Chen-Ling did not choose to give up, but personally ran through the entire market to find new suppliers. After a day and a night of hard work, she finally succeeded in solving the problem, and the restaurant's operation was gradually on the right track. This turmoil has made her more mature and has also established her unshakable prestige in the hearts of her employees. As the restaurant's business stabilized, Chen-Ling began to have more resources and contacts. Instead of being the little girl who worked hard just to make money, she began to learn how to work with people, how to create more opportunities, and gradually build her own brand. Chapter 9, Love and Harvest. While Chen-Ling's career is gradually becoming successful, she no longer ignores her innermost emotional needs. At a business event, she met a senior executive from another restaurant group named Lin Haoran. Haoran not only has a wealth of experience in the industry, but he also shows great interest in the career development of Chen-Ling. The two gradually got closer because of their common career philosophy, and before they knew it, love came quietly. Although the relationship between Chen-Ling and Haoran came a little suddenly, it was full of sincere emotions. Haoran's support and understanding made Chen-Ling more determined to move towards a higher goal. With Haoran's help, Chen-Ling's career began to develop to a higher level. Not only did she gain a firm foothold in the restaurant industry, but also entered multiple cities and opened more branches. Instead of being the little girl with family responsibilities, she has become a powerful female entrepreneur. And behind all this success, Chen-Ling still maintains its original intention. She understands that her achievements come from countless efforts and perseverance, as well as from her love and responsibility for her family. Chapter 10, The Road Ahead. A few years later, Chen-Ling stood in front of the headquarters of the restaurant group he founded, looking at the cityscape in the distance, and his heart was full of peace and achievement. She had fantasized about today countless times, but it wasn't until she actually stood here that she truly understood that although the road was long and difficult, every moment of perseverance was the cornerstone of her achievement. She turned to look at Haoran beside her, smiled and said, "We have come so far, we still have more dreams to achieve in the next road." Haoran nodded and gently held her hand. "No matter what the future holds, we will go on together." Chen-Ling looked at the familiar skyline and silently swore in his heart, all this effort is worth it after all. There is still a long way to go, but she is ready to meet every challenge and bring all her love and hope to the future.